The Wall Street rally continues with the Dow and the S&P 500 hitting record highs while Treasury yields slip as Trump picks Scott Bessent to lead the Treasury Department. Asian markets are trading with losses though, while the GIFT Nifty is also suggesting a flat start for our own markets. Israel's cabinet is likely to meet today to decide on a ceasefire agreement in Lebanon after over a year of fighting with Hezbollah following the 7th of October attacks last year. Crude prices fall over 2% and Brent is around $72 a barrel after developments between Israel and Lebanon moving towards a ceasefire. The gold prices rally also pauses with a fall of nearly 3.5%. US President-elect Donald Trump announces he will raise tariffs on Chinese goods by an additional 10%, also pledges a 25% tariff on all products coming from Mexico and China. And in a slew of decisions, the cabinet has approved the PAN 2.0 project to enable tech-driven transformation of taxpayer services. 2 hydroelectric power projects and 3 rail projects worth nearly 8,000 crore rupees are also cleared. Sources also suggest that the cabinet has approved the bank guarantee waiver for telecom companies. Good morning, you're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18 in what promises to be an action-packed day for our own markets in the Mumbai News Centre. I'm Hormas Fatakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets are doing, and it's a slightly negative start for the Asian indices despite the strong handover that we saw from Wall Street. The Taiwanese index is down 1%. The Hang Seng is trading just around the flat line, as is the Shanghai Composite as well in China. But the losses are coming in from Japan, where the Nikkei is down over 1.5% as we speak. The Kospi too is trading with losses of over 0.5%. So it's a negative start for the Asian markets. And pull up the GIFT Nifty as well, and that will give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. Absolutely flat is what the implied open is suggesting, a 12-point uptick as we speak. But remember, we've recovered almost 1,000 points from last Thursday's low. So some bit of consolidation should not come as any surprise for the market participants. But the handover from Wall Street was a very strong one. All 3 benchmarks ended higher. The Dow Jones was the outperformer though, surging over 400 points, making a fresh record high for the second day in a row. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq also ended with broad gains. Bertha Coombs of CNBC gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were up across the major indexes on Monday as the Dow hit an all-time high for the second session in a row. The Dow up 440 points. The S&P 500 was up 18, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq gained 51. Department store chain Macy's is delaying its full earnings release as it investigates an employee accounting issue. The retailer says a worker intentionally hid up to $154 million in delivery expenses over several years. Macy's reported weaker than expected sales for the third quarter. The retailer plans to share the full quarterly results by December 11th after it conducts an independent investigation into the accounting issue. The employee is no longer with the company, and Macy's says the hidden expenses do not appear to have had an effect on the company's cash position. Meantime, California's Democratic governor says that the state is going to continue to offer electric vehicle rebates, even if the incoming Trump administration eliminates them on the federal level. Governor Gavin Newsom said the money could come from California's greenhouse gas reduction fund. President-elect Trump has pledged to get rid of the EV tax credits of up to $7,500 per vehicle. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back over to you in Mumbai.
Staying with the U.S. markets, let us also listen in to what Mark Anderson of UBS Global Wealth Management had to say on the markets and also their target for the index.
I mean, we have U.S. 10-year yields coming down to 4% over the next 6 months. We think that's confirming that with the idea that the U.S. budget deficit is not going to run too far away. On top of it, we do think that the U.S. equity market is very well positioned for the year ahead. We have 6,600 for S&P 500 target at the end of the year. We both see inflation rates coming down, but also AI continuing to be sort of a driver of growth in technology stocks, but also the sectors like financials, utilities performing very well in the year 2025, which we call roaring 20s, the next stage.
And that's all we have on the global market front. But how will all of these overnight cues impact our own markets? We have our research team joining in with how the trade setup looks like and the stocks that are likely to be in the news today. But before Vivek joins in to get all the market cues that you need to watch out for, Vamakshi is here to take us through the stocks that you need to keep an eye out for this morning. Vamakshi, good morning.
Well, good morning, Hormaz. Let me first start off with Power Grid, and that is the stock will be in focus because an LOI for interstate transmission system in Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan has been signed. Apart from that, keep an eye out on BHEL as well as Hitachi Energy. A consortium of both of these companies have won an order from Power Grid. This is for HVDC link to transmit renewable energy from Gujarat to Maharashtra. Apart from that, keep an eye out on Indigo and SpiceJet, and that is because the October data has come through for the passenger traffic. India's domestic air passenger traffic saw an uptick of 5.3%, and Indigo share has improved from 63% to 63.3%, while SpiceJet's share has improved by 40 basis points from 2% to 2.4%. So both of these counters will be in focus today. Apart from that, HDFC Life says that unknown source has shared certain data fields of the company's customers with malified intent. Investigation is underway in consultation with information security experts to assess the root cause. HUL is another counter we will be watching out for. Board has approved the demerger of the ice cream business. This will be listed as a separate entity. Zomato also on our radar. Sources say that indicative price for the QIP that opens is at 250.62 per share, which is coming in at a 7.6% discount to yesterday's close, and the total offer sizes accounts for nearly 3.8% of the company's equity. KEI Industries, a QIP, has been launched, and sources say that the indicative issue size is up to $237 million, with the indicative price at 3,800 per share. Apart from that, keep an eye out on GE Vernova. Promoter Grid Equipment is likely to sell 8.38% stake via OFS with the floor price at 1,550 per share. Adani Green and Adani Ports also on our radar. Fitch had put the company on negative rating watch. And lastly, let's focus in on L&T Foods. Saudi Arabia entry is the reason why the company is in focus. They will be investing 185 million rial over the next 5 years, and they're eyeing revenues to the tune of 435 million rials in the next 5 years.
Vamakshi, plenty of stocks to watch out for. Thanks a lot for that update. Over to Vivek now, who will share with us the market cues that we need to watch out for. Vivek, good morning. What's the setup looking like after a 1,000-point up move in 2 sessions?
Good morning. 1,000-point up move in 2 sessions. Today it's quite a mixed queue, that we're going into, because overnight the kind of cues that we actually received, from global markets was very, very strong. US markets ended higher. The Dow Jones at an all-time high. In fact, the other positive trigger was the fact that oil prices yesterday fell over 2%. Geopolitical tensions are easing as far as Israel is concerned. And on the back of that, you did see, the oil prices cool down, and even today, Brent prices are lower. Now, talking about yesterday's trading session, markets extended Friday's rally, 1,000-point gain, like you mentioned. Yesterday, also aided by the fact that you saw a very large basket buy come in on the back of the MSCI reval falls. And on the back of that, for the first time in many months, you actually saw FII buy figure, largely aided by the one-time MSCI reval impact. Now, talking about sectoral indices, all of the sectoral indices gain in trade. The PSU pack outperformed in yesterday's session. 2 stocks especially, that did see significant moves. Zomato on the back of the Sensex inclusion saw a significant up move. Today will be in focus on the back of the QIP. And also JLW Steel yesterday fell significantly as it was going to be removed from the Sensex. Now talking about Asian markets, slightly lower despite the strong handover you've received from the Dow Jones as well as US markets, and GIFT Nifty indicating a flattish to mild positive start for our own markets.
Flattest start with the implied open suggesting a 20-point uptick. Vivek, thanks a lot for that. Over to Mangalam now, who would share with us the FNO setup for the day. Mangalam, good morning. Some bit of cooling off from the highs of the day, but I guess nothing to worry about for now.
Nothing really to worry about, Hormaz, like you pointed out, because there were 3 major reasons why the market moved the way it did in yesterday's trading session. The first half belonged to the Maharashtra election verdict-related rally. Then the second half, we had MSCI inflows and short covering coming by in the FNO space itself. So the high, because of the rally that we saw earlier was 24,351. From there, we saw a bit of a sell-off. And then the lower levels at around 24,135, we saw that pickup come by again in the second half of trade, and the markets moved closer to where they were in yesterday's trading session itself. 3 things that stood out. 1, the FIs bought in cash market for the first time in 38 sessions. For the first time since September 26, 2024. Obviously, a large part of this can be attributed to the MSCI related inflows that came by. But what's more important is to monitor this as we go forward, because the FII selling has actually over the last few trading sessions come down as well. And that was, visible in the strong delivery-based buying that we saw in HDFC Bank, which hit a record high in yesterday's trading session. Also Reliance, ICICI Bank, Infosys, the top contributors to the Nifty on the way up yesterday, were backed by strong delivery-based buying itself. The second thing that stood out was the FII short covering in index futures continues. So if you look at it, yesterday in index futures, they bought about 3,400 odd crores. They added around 21,000 longs and covered 24,000 short contracts. And this continued for the fifth straight trading session, where the FII net exposure is now down from negative 2 lakh a couple of days ago to about negative 1 lakh itself, and the long exposure is increased from 24% to 37%. In just 2 trading sessions, the FII shorts are down from 75% to 63%. How much more do they go from here is something that we'll be watching out for. This is the expiry week, so 24,300 call and 24,300 put on the Nifty, both equally active for a combined premium of 300 rupees, telling you that the option writers are playing for a range, a broader range of 24,000 at the lower level to about 24,600 at the upper level itself, which again coincides with a couple of technical levels, namely the 20-day moving average on the Nifty as well as the 150-day moving average on the way up. Just keep an eye out on a bunch of stocks. We have Adani Ent, Nalco, Hindustan Copper and IGL, all of them exiting F&O ban in the expiry week.
Keep an eye out on all of these names. Mangalam, thanks a lot for that. Time for a short break. And up next, in what could be a major relief for telecom companies, sources say that the cabinet has agreed to waive off bank guarantees for telecom companies. More on this on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, sources are telling CNBC TV 18 that the cabinet has waived off bank guarantee requirements for telecom companies for any spectrum purchases made before 2022. Ashmit is joining in with more on this front. Ashmit, good morning. It seems like a big development for these telecom companies.
Indeed, a big relief coming in for the telecom companies. This had been a long-standing demand that they had put forth before the DOT. The DOT, we understand, had placed it before the cabinet, and last evening we understand that the cabinet has approved a bank guarantee waiver for telecom companies as a whole. So it's not any company-specific relief, it's rather for the entire sector. But of course, one of the companies that is likely to benefit greatly is Vodafone Idea. They had been pressing the government for allowing these bank guarantee waivers. So what exactly does it translate into? Well, bear in mind that in 2021, the government had come up with a policy waiving bank guarantees prospectively. So all subsequent auctions that took place, that's 2022, 2024, there were no bank guarantee requirements for those auctions. But the question then arose that if bank guarantee waivers are being given, why not waive the bank guarantees even for the spectrum that was acquired before 2022? That is a decision that the government has taken, that even for the spectrum that has been acquired before 2022, those bank guarantee requirements can also be waived. This will allow, of course, huge relief and will allow huge liquidity to the telecom companies. They had been praying for this relief. The likes of Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea, they've all been pressing for that relief. So finally, the cabinet approving that relief, allowing for the entire telecom sector for waiving of bank guarantees entirely for the spectrum acquired even before 2022.
Major developments indeed. We'll keep an eye out on all of these telecom companies. Ashmit, thanks a lot for that update. Now, Amazon India is set to launch its quick commerce service called Tez. Now, sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the platform is likely to be launched within a few weeks. Now, this will mark Amazon's global debut in the quick commerce space, making it the only large e-commerce platform yet to venture into this booming segment. Now, the entry also comes amidst intense competition within India's domestic companies like Flipkart, also recently foraying into the space. Time for a short break. Up next, we get you cues from the commodities market. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. On to the latest from the ongoing West Asian conflict. According to news reports, Israeli officials have confirmed a truce between Israel and Hezbollah that might be approved later today. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly states that he has approved the ceasefire, quote-unquote, in principle. Now, the Israeli Security Cabinet is set to meet later today to discuss the finer details of the deal and provide formal approval to the same. The reports also suggest that the talks are progressively moving positively. However, a misstep amid the ongoing clashes can put an end to any potential deal. And Manisha Gupta now joins in with all the updates from the commodity space. Manisha, good morning. These latest developments in West Asia have had a bearing on the oil prices, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, Armad. The reports of Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire agreement perhaps nearing its yield is something that has weighed onto the market. So 3% of a decline is what we saw on the crude oil prices overnight. Well, in any case, because of all these wars and tensions, we haven't seen oil supplies getting disrupted. But with this, the war premium or the risk premium also goes down. And that is the reason we have seen a decline come in for the crude oil prices. Not just that, the gold and silver prices fell very sharply overnight. Gold fell 3.5%. Silver is down 4% in the overnight markets there. Well, Trump also nominating hedge fund manager Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary also takes off some uncertainty. While, of course, we will have to see on what kind of steps to taken forward there. But the markets also are now seeing a 56% chance of a U.S. Fed rate cut of 25 basis points in December. That doesn't also augur well for many of these dollar-denominated commodities, especially with the dollar index now trading back above 107. That in turn also seems to be putting pressure on many of these prices.
Manisha, thanks a lot for that update. Some pressure coming in on the precious metals as well. Well, the voters of Maharashtra may have given their verdict, delivering a landslide victory to the Mahayuti alliance. However, the fog over who would be the next chief minister of the state is yet to lift. The top leaders of the Mahayuti are in a close huddle to decide on the state's top post. While Devendra Fadnavis of the BJP is the front-runner, sources have also told Network 18 that the Shiv Sena is pitching for Eknath Shinde to retain the CM's post. Sources also tell Network 18 that the NCP has backed Fadnavis as the chief minister of Maharashtra. Ajit Pawar dismissed any talks of any formula for the CM post and said that the alliance would decide on it together. Sources also tell Network 18 that Shiv Sena is pitching for Shinde to retain the CM's post. The party says that the poll trends were in favor of the Mahayuti because of the Ladki Bahin Yojana, Shinde's flagship initiative for women. Shifting focus to the world of sports now, the IPL 2025 mega auction came to an end in Jeddah of Saudi Arabia. The second day of the auction witnessed Indian pacers dominate the proceedings. Bhuvneshwar Kumar was Monday's most expensive buy and was acquired by the RCB for 10.75 crore rupees. Deepak Chahar was the next big buy of the day as Mumbai Indians snapped him up for 9.25 crore rupees. Delhi Capitals welcomed back Mukesh Kumar via an RTM card for 8 crore rupees, and the IPL 2025 mega auction set another record as 13-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi became the youngest ever cricketer to bag a deal with an IPL franchise, with the Rajasthan Royals buying him for 1.1 crore rupees. A total of 103 players, including David Warner, Daryl Mitchell and Prithvi Shaw, went unsold across the 2 days of the auction. Well, as we wrap up on Power Breakfast, we leave you with some somber news. Shashi Ruia, the founder of the SR Group, has passed away at the age of 80.